So now that we have our door, let's try to add a script to it with a proximity prompt so that we can unlock and lock the door. So in order to do that, we need to add a proximity prompt on the door. So if you guys haven't worked with proximity prompt before, you just add it right here on the plus sign and click on proximity prompt. And what this does is, if your character approaches the door, it's going to pop up that dialog box and you can interact with it. So right now the default button is E. And if I wanted to set the hold duration to, let's say, 2 seconds, then when I approach it and I hold on E, it'll take 2 seconds for the prompt to trigger. And you see that with the loading sign. And you can set this to however long you want. You can also set it to a different button. If you look over at the properties window, instead of triggering it with E, you can select another button. But I'm going to keep it at E just because it's more comfortable like that for someone on a keyboard. We can set the max activation distance. So if I want it to be about like farther away, so I can stand like 30, or let's say 30. How far would that be? If so I'm standing this far away and I'm still seeing the prompt. See? So that's about 30 studs. Yeah, about there. And yeah, if I move further away from that though, then the prompt will disappear. But if I get within that 30 distance, then the prompt will appear. And that's the max activation distance. And we can modify the object text like unlock the door. And that's on our properties window. Now you see the words unlock the door is there, right? And then if we wanted to change this interact button to something else, we can do that in the properties window too. Like right here, it's the action text. We can set it to whatever's like the button. And if we approach it, you'll see that the text now says the button, and the object text is unlock the door. And that's the basics of proximity prompt, right? And by default, that's already a lot of stuff that you have without even scripting it. But now we're going to get into scripting it. So what we're going to do is we need to add a script on the door. And so we need to say script, and we're going to say local door equals script dot parent, because the door is the parent of our script. And then we need to get our proximity services, or proximity prompt. And then we're going to say equals game, or we can say door dot proximity prompt. And then we can say proximity prompt dot prompt hold began, and connect it to a function. So the proximity prompt variable I created using the door dot proximity prompt, and that is because we referenced the door and we said dot proximity prompt. So that means that the proximity prompt is the child of the door. So basically it's grabbing this object right here, that line of code, it's storing that into the variable. So now we're getting that object, that proximity prompt, and we're saying whenever the prompt whenever the user holds down E, then we're going to run this function. And we're going to say, let's just say prompt, or we'll say unlocking is beginning, ... So we played that, and I'm gonna hold down E right now. Ready, set, go. And if you notice down here, it says unlocking is beginning. So that happens right at the moment when the user hits E on the keyboard. And then we have another one. We're going to say proximity prompt dot prompt triggered, or is it? Yeah. Actually, triggered, yeah. Function, and then now we're gonna say print unlocked. So that's what the triggered event does. So the prompt button hold began is when the when the user holds down the E button at that moment. The triggered event happens when that loading thing is completed, right? So let's see what happens here. Pay attention to when the loading white circle completes. Pay attention down here. It's gonna say unlocked. So there we go. Now it says unlocked. But you know, we haven't done anything to the door yet, because if we try to run through the door, it's going to let us, and I didn't even unlock it, right? That's because we need to anchor it. So click on your door and click on check the anchored checkbox, so that now the door is anchored and it can't move. Now, if you try to run through it, it's not going to work. And even if you try to unlock it, it won't open, right? Because we didn't tell the script to do anything yet. We just told it to print some statements. So on the proximity prompt dot triggered function, I want to add a door dot anchored. That's the property on the door, right? Door dot anchored. And I'm going to set that equal to false, because currently it is true, meaning that it's anchored. But if we set it to false, then that means that now the door's not anchored and we can open it. Now we click play. Now it's unlocked. Now we can open it, right? Now, just to add a little more, so it could be a little more dynamic, I can do something like this. So first I'm going to grab this color property on the part, and I'm going to save it here. I'm going to save it here as a comment, and you'll find out why in just a second. So when the prompt hold begins, I want to color the door red or orange, just to signify that it is unlocking. So I'm going to say door.color equals color3.new. And you're going to see a color wheel pop up. If you don't, just click in the in these parentheses here, or you can type in a RGB value. But for some reason, I don't think my screen capture will show the color wheel. But there is one right here, and I'm going to click it. And I'm going to select a color. And keep in mind, you don't have to do it this way. You can, Google like a a color value, a hex value or a RGB value, and just, put it in. So this is the value that I got from the color wheel. First value is red. Second value is green. Third value is blue. And you don't have to do it exactly like this. You can, you can put in a random number here. Just make sure that there's 3 values. So there's 1 value, 2 value, and 3 values. Next, after it's triggered, I want to color the screen now, right? So I'm going to say door.color equals color 3.new. And again, I'm going to pick a green color this time with the color wheel. Although you might not see it on my screen, it should show up on your screen. If you click in between the parentheses, a color wheel icon should pop up right here. And yeah, and then we're gonna add one more event. This time it's gonna be proximity prompt button hold ended. So we have our prompt button hold began. Now we want one where at the end, once it's finished triggering. So once the E button is let go of, then yeah, we're going to let's see. We're going to color this. And now I'm just going to paste in this RGB value from earlier, right? Back to the original color. So it's going to be gray again. And I can delete this now. And if you guys don't know where I got that from, I got it from over here, this color on the properties window. So this is the default color of the part. And that's it. Well, actually, I want to wait about 1 second before I color it to the default one. Now we have our script. Now we can click play. And if we walk through, it's not going to open. Now I'm going to trigger it. So unlocking, it's orange. Now it's green. Now it's gray again. So yeah, that's how you create a Hinge door and use proximity prompts. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like the video, and I'd appreciate any subscriptions and comments. Yeah. Hope to see you on the next video.